give him the gavel. All right, well, welcome to the City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 16th. We are recording our meeting live and streaming it live on City of Madison YouTube channel and archiving as well. We have a good agenda tonight. We'll start, as always, by standing and removing our hats and bowing our heads for Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have our roll call, please.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Josh Wilbur.
Here.
Jim Bartlett.
Here.
Joel Storm.
Here.
Josh Schaefer.
Here.
Lucy DiTillo. Here. Carla Krebs.
Here.
Patrick Tevenot.
Here.
Sorry, I'm getting the air conditioner turned on, and it's on. Thank you. Council, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes from the April 2nd meeting, all 8 minutes of it? If so, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay. I'd like to invite Assistant Chief Police Major Munt and our newest recruit, Bill Adams, for swearing in. And Major, if you'd like to introduce Bill first, for just a second to our community as well as the council, and I'll come up and read him his oath.
Yeah, good evening, council. This is William Adams. He is our newest member of the Madison Police Department. He was hired in on April 1st. He will be attending the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy starting April 29th.
Fantastic.
Bill Adams.
Bill, you're welcome to come here. Your family's welcome to join you if you'd like. All right, let's ready to record. I, William Bill Adams, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Indiana. And I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of a police officer for the City of Madison Police Department to the best of my ability and according to law. So help me God. Congratulations. Welcome aboard. Sign there, and congratulations, and also thank you for supporting him in his journey to become as a police officer for the City of Madison. And you're welcome to tell council a little bit about yourself. You'll get to know him better along the way.
I'm William Adams. I've lived in Madison about 3 or 4 years now. Not much else to say. I have a lot more kids getting along the way up there, so. Oh yeah, and I'm in the service as well here in Madison.
Thank you for your service, and thank you for joining the Madison Police Department, and good luck at the academy. And then along the way, he is part of a new class that's coming on. We have, what, 3 more officers that have been recruited?
Yeah, 3 more that we've extended offers to. We're waiting on their medical clearance from Indiana Public Employment Retirement. Once we get the final approval from them, they'll be ready to go. So, yep.
Look forward to it, Bill. Good luck, okay?
Thank you.
I may go ahead and mention this now, although we don't have formal proclamations, but rather than save these remarks for the end, I want to recognize 2 important things happening this week. One is National Volunteers Week. And the theme for 2024 is Every Moment Matters. And as you know, there are hundreds, literally hundreds of volunteers across our community that is striving and all working very hard for Madison's success. And whether it's volunteering for like this weekend's River Sweep, or one of our music festivals, or beautification, or being a host and ambassador for Madison, and numerous other ways, I want to thank all of our volunteers who really, really are the backbone of our community. Speaking of backbones of our community, next week is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. That's a long description for what we know here as our central dispatchers. And they play a critical role in public safety. They literally handle thousands and thousands of calls throughout the course of the year, dispatching for all the law enforcement agencies that operate in Jefferson County, as well as all of the fire departments who operate in Jefferson County. So their job is a tough one. We welcomed a new director of Central Dispatch a couple of months ago, Brandon Tucker. He has been with Central Dispatch, I believe, for about 5 years. He was promoted by the 911 Advisory Board to the Executive Director, so we wish him good luck and also thank them for all their services. So I want to mention that early on. Moving on, Council, are there any reports, recommendations, or other business from standing or select committees of the City Council? Hearing none, I do want to mention that I will be making appointments tonight to a standing committee, and that is to the New Projects Committee. Making an appointment for Josh Schaefer, Josh Wilbur, Carla Krebs for new projects, and we'll get together and probably better define that role than it's been in the past, but we have several policy initiatives that really needs some attention. So I look forward to working with Council's New Projects Committee in order to bring some analysis and solutions to some of our older policy challenges. Moving on, reports of city officials. Economic Development Director Tony Steinhardt with a READY update, and the prelude here is READY is we're in the second phase of that. We've been very successful in the first phase. Tony's going to go through a bit of our update for the destination plan, and then also our aspirations for READY 2.0, as well as maybe give them an update of where the regions stand.
Yes, so as you may have seen in the paper or heard or seen through social media or email, our region was awarded $45 million for READY 2.0. We have presented and spent time with our RDA over the last couple of months. They visited here, and Bob presented to them at another meeting with the IEDC about 6 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we hosted them here in Madison, along with representatives from the county, Hanover College, and other nonprofits within the community. And we were fortunate enough to be able to give them a tour of downtown, where many of our READY projects are. We're fortunate that our Destination Madison plan is connected in a way, especially with the projects that were funded with the READY dollars. So I think they were very impressed. It warmed up a little bit on the day. It was one of those cold, rainy days a couple weeks ago, but we had a glimmer of sunshine, so we were able to show them all the progress. As you know, our Madison, Indiana destination plan was really focused in sort of three areas: economic development, quality of life, and housing, along with a workforce development plan. We've seen results in that from a couple of our larger manufacturers, most recently Super ATV and Grody, and we're able to use those successes as a part of our READY match as we move forward in closing out READY 1.0 projects. Next, Mindy. As you know, what was great about READY 1.0, it allowed us as a community to leverage dollars and work on capital stacking in a very unique way. With an infusion of the dollars we received from READY, we were able to do a number of projects. The Riverfront Super Overlook was a prime example of how we were able to take dollars that were initially for other projects, but because of READY, we were able to shift additional dollars and fast track getting phase 1 and phase 2 of that project complete. So that's a prime example of how we were able to do that. Without that, we probably wouldn't have been able to complete this project as fast with the additional dollars from the Redevelopment Commission.
Tony, I mentions that it's complete, phases
One
one
and
and two
two.
are complete.
Phases 1 and 2 are complete. The next is, as you all know, our Arts and Cultural District, the Mulberry Streets and Second Street. This was a big part of our Destination Madison plan, bringing a downtown grocery store to the former JC and Ruler site. I'm happy to report that because of the investment we're making in that area, there has been today since ready $8.5 million of private investment planned or has been completed in the last 18 months in that neighborhood. And so we're looking forward to more investment in that neighborhood. That includes the DG Market, the mixed use, the Chandler Hotel, Vintage Lanes, and other private investment that we've been able to record in that district in the last 18 months. Again, that was an area where we were able to capital stack dollars, ready dollars, private citizen dollars, RDC dollars, as well as our CCMG dollars. We're spending $570,000 on Mulberry and Second Street in a complete curb gutter replacement, sidewalks, as well as new pavement. So we've been able to transform that neighborhood by leveraging a number of capital stacks as a part of that. The other project was the Madison Milton Bridge Gateway project. As you know, you've committed dollars through the years for property acquisition to take down the tattoo parlors and the former gas stations and convenience stores that once welcomed people to Madison. I think today you'd all agree that the view coming across the bridge is a much more welcoming view. I've had some people tell me that it doesn't even remind them of anywhere in the Midwest when they come across that bridge now, especially at night. We're excited about that project. The final, what I call the crown jewel of the project, will be the art installation this fall. That project by Beverly Precious, River's Edge, is under construction. She visited the community again a couple weeks ago, and is planning to have that project here by September. That will also include a few other enhancements along with that, a few more sidewalks, some benches, so that the public has pedestrian access to that. The Madison Area Arts Alliance is working with Patronicity, and you'll be hearing more about the opportunity for the public to donate to that project here in the coming weeks. The Indiana Music City Amphitheater parking, as the Ready team knows, is our new park on the riverfront. That new park will be honoring Francis Costigan, one of our most famous artists and architects in the community, as well as George D. Baptiste, a very famous Underground Railroad conductor, not just here in Madison, but nationally. That project is almost complete. We hoped, if rain hadn't hit us last week, to be paving this week, but we believe that's going to be next week. Landscaping will be going in shortly. Some improvements have been made, and we look forward to that park opening, we hope, by Memorial Day of this year, ahead of schedule. The Ohio Theater facade is another, and marquee is another great example of capital stacking and leveraging private dollars. Ready was able to be used for the exterior facade, which is helping Main Street become beautified, eliminating what some would say was a blighted structure because of its just age and condition. The Friends of the Ohio Theater are working really hard to bring life back to that theater and have done a great job with programming. We were able to work with them to do a dollar-for-dollar grant match for our Ready dollars, and so we invested $250,000 of Ready dollars, and private donors invested $250,000 for that facade. So by 4th of July, we'll have a marquee on Main Street once again.
A lit-up marquee.
A lit-up marquee. Yes, we will have a lit-up marquee with all the modern electronics that is there to have, and we're really excited about it. If you look out the window as you leave here today, they're starting to put up the brick molds to hold the new brick facade that's going up, and windows are due in the end of May. So again, and so far we haven't found too many unforeseen conditions, so we're real happy with the progress there. So our final project, the Madison Hanover Connector Trail Phase 1, which is connecting downtown Madison to Clifty Falls State Park, and is Phase 1 of a multi-mile trail that would ultimately connect Hanover College, downtown Hanover, to Jeffersonville, and ultimately to other state parks, Charleston and Corydon State Park, and is a part of our region's bike trail system and multi-use trail system. So we are a part of their plan. The county commissioners funded that part of the trail plan last fall, and this project is a part of our regional plan. That includes trails all the way through, Washington County, Clarksville, Jeffersonville, but Madison's trail connecting us to Jeffersonville and beyond is a part of that region plan, and this is phase one of that connector trail. This project's about 60% designed. We've got a couple committee meetings to have. We're trying to work through some cost estimating right now and understanding how that project's going to play out here as we move into the bidding season this fall and start construction, and we'll move on. But there's some other projects that we're going to leverage with the Madison Connector Trail on the west end of downtown from some community infrastructure projects, maybe at the same time, and try to maybe bid those as alternates, or some try to get some synergy out of some of these projects and hopefully have some cost reduction as a part of that as well. So how did our early results on Ready 1.0 do? Well, we've had over $200 million of investment, either in private dollars and or other public dollars that we were able to leverage. Our leverage ratio is 70 to 1 versus what we told the RDC we would do was 14 to 1. And that's because of a lot of the ways we've been able to leverage those dollars, do the things we've been able to do with existing city revenue to leverage that, or like the additional surprise sort of investment that's happened already in the Mulberry Street corridor. We've also seen over a 40% tourism growth in the last 3 years in our community, which is also driving a lot of the investment that you've seen and driving the demand for the kind of investment that you saw specifically at Sunrise Crossing. Next slide. As you well know, our Destination Madison plan has attracted over the last 24 months about 12 national retailers. I'm currently working with others to look at this community. There's a number of challenges for them to enter the market. One of them is land, quite honestly. It's a very challenging issue currently, both for retailers and housing in our community. It's the lack of appropriate development sites. So we're really excited about the success we've had, and all those investments were able to help with that $200 million leveraged number. This slide, I think, says it all. On the left, you'll see the 2021. The pin is the old Madison Plaza Shopping Center. The red pin on the left, you'll see a big bright red pin there. That was Madison Plaza Shopping Center. That'll basically show you the number of people that went in and out of that parking lot in 2021. On the right is the Madison Plaza Sunrise Crossing project with 6 months of people. We had 500,000 unique visitors visit that site in 6 months of 2023, and you can see the regional draw that facility's having, and showing you the impact of investment that you made, as well as the Redevelopment Commission. So thank you for that. And
Tony, can you
this will
just
be the
pause there
results.
for a second, let that sink in. And what I want to note here is that 6 month period where we had the 500,000 visits, that really, we opened the first national retailer in the summer
July.
of 23.
Those Five Below.
And then the last one was right before the Christmas season.
Yes.
Which was Kohl's. As you know, there's the outlot under construction now. But even in that 6 month period when we were phasing in the opening of the retailers, we had a tremendous influx of visit traffic, and we know from that data where they came from, where they live, where they went, other businesses that benefited from their visits to our community. So the effect isn't, or the impact isn't just on Sunrise Crossing, it's the whole area relative to drawing people from a regional area, geography to the city of Madison.
Yeah, our data shows pre-trips and post-trips from this location. So I know who's coming to the shopping center, where they went where they came from. Some of them come from Tractor Supply, Walmart, Mi Viejo, Big Lots. You can see where those folks are coming from into this complex. I can also see where they leave here and go, whether it's Culver's or Lowe's or Walmart or downtown. You can tell where they're coming from and where they're going. So it's really powerful data. And again, as a part of our project on the Hill, it was really important for the developers and us to celebrate Madison as a community. And we know we're promoting downtown up on the at Sunrise Crossing with a number of our maps and kiosks as a part of that.
Tony,
so we're really excited.
how
Yes.
do you get that information? Is that through like cell phone
Yeah, it's through
information?
Yeah, it's through a subscription that you have supported called Placer.ai.
Because I'm sure that we have some citizens are like, okay, hold on a second, now you're tracking us.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, no, it's we've had this data now
Robert, you can't hide.
we're on our second year. It's data that we looked at a number of data sources, but the one that we chose was Placer.ai because a lot of the national retailers use that.
Okay.
And they have become very friendly to communities in terms of pricing structure because they know the value of data to help attract, and the quality of life and the economic development needs we have can be answered through this data. But yes, it is all tracked through cell data.
Okay.
And it is a little scary. I won't lie. When you can see, you can pick your spot, and if you've been there for 7 minutes, you've been recorded. And I can tell you how many people are in your household income, your graduation level.
We're also able to share this with our tourism partners across the community. Also, Jefferson County helps co-fund this subscription and allows us then to use that data to really hone in on economic impact from things that we do across our community. So
One
I
of
think
the
that we're getting very sophisticated with our planning.
Yeah, one of the things, Main Street's receiving data constantly from this. VMI's using the data. Lucy, I don't know if you found that to be very useful, but what's been good for us is the fact that they get other data too, and this is just another way of sort of slicing and dicing the data. I've shared this with Clifty Falls State Park and other collaborative partners. We're currently sharing this with some of the students who are doing a school project. We're getting ready to share a big whole big bucket of data for them to use. So we're doing that and found it very useful, and it's helping us attract. Honestly, we're currently working with a national restaurant chain, and that map right there, when I saw the contrast, really had them come back to the table and ask a series of additional questions. So it's very, very important and very helpful for us.
Thank you.
But thank you.
And Tony,
Yes.
just for clarification, that 500,000 visits
Yes.
were unique visitors?
No, that was 171,000 unique visitors visiting 500,000 times. But everybody went there. Of those 171,000, went there about 2.5 times.
As soon as Kohl's opened, my wife was there probably 25 times.
But what I can
Isn't that
tell
number?
you, and I don't have the data committed to memory,
Me too, by the
but the trend has continued through first quarter. And that was some of the questions that I got a couple weeks ago from a national retailer. They wanted to see the data for first quarter because, it's sort of like everything's new and then it's not, right? But the data trends have continued in first quarter, which is typically a very slow quarter for retailers. And
We didn't have this data, but we had some data and really good instincts, and that has allowed us to sell Madison in a way never before. That's what attracted our housing development at Sunrise, our shopping development at Sunrise, the DG market, and then also the other investments that's happening across our community. Investors want to see this.
So, obviously we're talking about Sunrise Crossing, and this is getting a lot of visitors up to the hilltop. Is this also driving more visitors to the downtown at the same time?
That was gonna be my question. How does this impact the small mom and pop
Right,
places in town?
Yeah, so we know that our tourism has increased over 40% in the last 3 years. And you'll see here in a minute that we had 1.7 visits to our riverfront. We're tracking Main Street, and we know the increase has happened on Main Street and continues to happen, and I can share that data with you. Austin also has it at Main Street. We've broken Main Street down as its own POI from Jefferson Street to Broadway, and we've also broken the West End from, I think, Mill Street to Craigmont. And we're tracking visitor trends in both of those. We're really trying to track those in micro areas because we're trying to understand how the West End businesses, we can
Yeah.
attract more from the main CDB to the West End. So we're using them even in
Real
that,
good idea.
in that regard too, as well. And we've been able to share all this data with all of our festivals, which I think will allow them to be able to pinpoint their markets.
Yeah.
In one festival who's been around for a long, long time, had a couple aha moments when they started to see the data, potentially where their markets they thought were not necessarily where they were getting their visitors. So we think it's going to
Great.
have some impact, both short-term and long-term, to help us.
That's great, good.
So, inquiring minds would like to know, Mr. Steinhardt, the restaurant that we're trying to attract up by Sunrise, can we get any teasers? Are we in
Any
negotiation? Do we
teasers?
have some things down the pipe?
There's actually two. There's
Okay.
actually two. One for the end cap on the north side, which would be a fast casual kind of restaurant.
Okay.
And then one for the outlot behind AutoZone.
Okay, so,
We are in conversations with those two. One would be a fast casual and one would be a national sit-down chain restaurant.
okay, and then also I get lots of questions, you might not even know this one. Dunkin' Donuts, they want to know, are they still coming?
The property is closed and the survey has happened. I don't know exactly what their corporate construction schedule is. So again, for example, if in fact we were able to land a restaurant, we were able to announce that in the next quarter, it probably wouldn't be open for 12 to 18 months.
Okay, and my last question is, the comfort station, the parking behind that, was that also part of this
That was part of
initial
the
ready?
Yes, that was also part of
Part
the
of our
ready.
gateway project.
Part of the gateway project,
Oh, okay,
yes.
okay, thank you.
So this will show you the 1.7 million visits to our riverfront in 2023, which is a 17% increase last year to visits to our riverfront. You can see where those are coming from. Again, I'm giving you a snapshot. If I blew this out further, you would see dots from Alaska or California or wherever. But I'm really just showing you the regional view here as well. And we think that plays very well for our Ready 1.0 projects and the projects I'm going to show you for Ready 2.0, which is centered on what I like to think of as our front door, our front lawn, which is our riverfront, as well as some other important key points. But you will see that many of our projects are connected to that. So let's talk about Destination 2.0, and feel free to ask questions as I present these. The first project I'm presenting tonight for consideration as Ready 2.0 projects in our Destination 2.0 plan aligns with our strategy to be Indiana's Music City. It was envisioned a long time ago, but never constructed. The park, Bicentennial Park, was. The band shell was not, or the amphitheater stage was not. This project would be constructed about in the same location as where the current concrete pad is there, and would probably, if we become as successful at attracting the regional and national talent we would expect, would require some other amenity improvements, restrooms, concessions, and those sorts of things associated with this project. Next project. The next project is the Madison Milton Bridge Gateway and Illumination. This project was submitted as part of Ready 1.0. We chose to reallocate dollars to other projects and not this one at that time. So we are putting this one forward again as a Ready 2.0 project. Believe it or not, there's a lot of tourism money around bridges and illumination of bridges throughout the country. It's becoming a real calling card for a lot of communities, and we're seeing a lot of these projects. And this would illuminate the west side of the Madison Milton Bridge. And I've joked the mayor said he gets the app, but technology today is he gets the app for that. But the technology today is really great, and some of the demonstrations we've seen are really amazing. So we're excited about that. The next project that we've talked about and we actually had committed redevelopment dollars for already was our riverboat excursion and riverfront improvement project. This was tied to an agreement with the American Queen Voyages a year and a half ago, where they committed about 10% of the cost to make these improvements as a public-private partnership and to be an exclusive docking, have exclusive docking rights to the city of Madison. I'm happy to say Visit Madison and the city have been working with another opportunity that I think, one door closes, another one opens. This opportunity may actually be better than the American Queen Voyages opportunity for a number of reasons for the community. They have a philosophy of overnights. They have a philosophy of staying in communities longer, with departure times later in the evening, 8, 9 o'clock, more like what you might see on cruise ships in the Caribbean, versus American Queen Voyages usually left by 4. And potentially interest in being here during our festivals, which I think not only would be exciting for the festivals, but also exciting for the visitors to our festivals to see riverboats in a river community while they're visiting. So I think it, again, as I said, I think there's some great opportunities, and VMI and the city are working collaboratively to hopefully bring some news soon to that. Welch Park and hotel parking improvements is a project that we're putting forth because of the great success that we're having with the investment that the city made and the developers made for the Fairfield Inn at Cotton Mill. They're expanding already. They're adding a major 225-seat conference center in the back in the Picker House, as well as a couple additional meeting rooms. It will have one of the largest LED walls in southern Indiana, not just southeast, but southern Indiana, and so we're really excited about that. That will put pressure on parking, we know that, and initially there was some designs that included parking as a part of Welch Park and some other areas, because we knew at some point the master plan would probably have to be implemented, and so we're moving this project forward in our talks with the ownership at the Cotton Mill currently about that. And then moving forward, Welch Park, which was a part of the master plan for the Parks Department, moving that along and connecting it to the Gateway and the Hubbard Walkway, as well as our riverfront. So you can see how these projects are all starting to sort of tie together there. This is a preliminary sketch that I've been working with our Parks president on and the mayor, but we'll be moving this project forward here in the coming months. The next sort of series of projects are really all sort of related around housing. This one probably very well. It's the Madison Plaza housing, or Sunrise residences at Sunrise Crossing. This is a $38 million rough investment. Phase 1 we hope to begin here this summer. We plan on, we're working diligently with them now to move towards late May, early June closing on the property. The mayor and I have met with them on some refinements to the exterior design and massing and scale of some of these buildings. We're pleased with some of the changes that they've made, and we're looking forward to that project moving forward yet this summer. This is the acreage behind the shops at Sunrise Crossing. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
It's 11 acres back
11
there the city owns.
The next project is the Madison Coal Property Redevelopment Project. A few years back, the city purchased property along our riverfront with the idea of promoting housing. This is a very visionary project, would bring market rate density housing to a very important part of our community. We have been working with a developer and have interest there, high interest there actually, in a development on that corner, and we've put that forward to Ready as one of our Ready 2.0 projects.
Is that the corner of Jefferson and Vaughn?
That's the corner of Jefferson and Vaughn, the old Madison coal parcels that I believe City Council bought
About
3 or 4 years ago.
Bought 8 parcels from them.
Has there been any further discussion on rezoning that property, because currently it's zoned open space?
Yes, the riverfront has a number of zoning challenges, as you well know, and I believe the planning department's working on a comprehensive zoning overhaul here in the next few months. But we certainly know there's work to be done with the zoning and plan commission and others in the community for that project, given that location. A final housing project, one to what we've named Rethinking Housing. We've been working with some other community groups and agencies within the community, having dialogue about the need for starter and middle housing within our community. As we've talked before, housing isn't just you can go start here and solve the problem. It's really a domino effect. The Indiana housing study showed that we were 3,000 housing units short at sort of all levels of income. And so again, you've got to sort of start giving the ability to create housing at multiple levels so you can have a flow of housing. So if you can't find a house and you want to move up, you don't leave a house that somebody else can buy that's a lower price. So you can see how this domino effect is. So we're looking at trying to develop a neighborhood that is denser and smaller. Again, number of zoning and other related issues that have to be dealt with a project. But this new urbanist neighborhood would be located, we would hope, within walking distance to shops and other things associated with a good neighborhood in 2023. So has not been determined.
I think were those the three on
And
the
then-
housing?
Yes, those are the three on the
I'll
housing.
make an anecdotal comment, which is, it's been over 3 decades or longer since we had any meaningful housing development in the city of Madison. We have to explore infill locations as well as areas surrounding Madison to attract development. Our local developers, some of them are doing a house here at a time, no major significant subdivisions or housing in decades. All of the economic development success that Tony was outlining earlier has created hundreds of jobs. The expansion of our current industry is creating a lot of jobs. We have to be able to provide workforce to keep our community going. In order to provide the workforce, we've got to have good housing solutions here along the entire spectrum of affordability. We have thousands and thousands of people who commute into Madison or Jefferson County every day for work. If we could capture a small part of them and keep them here, in order to do that, we've got to have some good housing solutions. The way to do that is to rethink our traditional housing model, because we're the city, all of us are going to have to take the lead in getting this done as an economic development priority. And to do that, we've got to be planning. A good planning department like what we have is always looking to the future, always trying to identify the highest and best use, looking at trends, and also going out there and talking to investors on what would it take to attract them here. We're competing for those dollars just like every other community across the state of Indiana is. So that's why you see what I would consider bold, aspirational, different. We wouldn't have to do this if we had developers coming in and building a 100-unit subdivision and 96 phase affordable housing units on the hilltop isn't going to cut it for all of our growth in the future.
And I would say, we're not alone in this. You can talk to your other colleagues throughout the state. This is a number one issue. It was a number one issue in the governor's State of the State address this year. It's the number one topic at all of our IEDC conferences. And communities are having to take the lead in investment in jump-starting housing development in their communities where you're not, even in Shelbyville, Indiana, which you think is just right outside of Indianapolis, they're having to jumpstart housing in their community. You don't have to in Carmel, you don't have to in Zionsville, but as you start to go out, Warsaw's doing this, Wabash is doing this, Vincennes is doing this. So communities are having to take the lead. It's a new role and a new day for housing, and communities are having to help jumpstart that, and we hope to be in a position to do that. We know that it's not just having a house that's important. To make it a home, you got to have real opportunity for investment, and there are groups within our community who are focusing on trying to understand how do we take down the barriers of first-time home buying. How do we eliminate those barriers? Because you get into an apartment with a $1,200 to $1,400 rent a month, you can't get the savings to get the 20% down payment. You can't, what happens if you could for $1,500 or $1,600 a month actually start to own a 2-bedroom home, right? It's not probably the two-bedroom home we all think of with a quarter-acre lot and all that sort of stuff, but it's a different kind of home that allows you to start building that not only mental health and success that you would see as a family, but also some personal wealth. So we're having some broad community dialogue, and we're really happy for folks like the Community Foundation, folks like Bethany, folks like Hanover College. They just funded a county-wide housing study that virtually came back and said we are 98 to 100% full. You know, there's 40 lots to be able to be built on within our county, as they found. So we know the mayor and I are working diligently to get more data. We've got a conference call here in a week with a housing expert that's going to ask some more difficult questions about demand, and we hope to have all that wrapped up here as we start to come towards middle of the year when our Ready asks come together. And again, we're going to get some money from Ready. These projects again can start to all sort of shift around and how our capital stack works out. Two other important projects I want to bring up in economic development perspective to put on your radar screen as part of Destination 2.0 is the Madison Airport modernization, a really important asset for our community. We have a number of jobs that were created because of the airport, some 72 jobs created for that. We have industry, businesses located at our airport that employ people every day. I can tell you having this is very, very critical to a vibrant community and a business community. As I mentioned, as we brought in national retailers to look at Madison, they flew in on an airplane, we picked them up, they came in, they left on an airplane. So we have, and that day there was 2 of our businesses in town doing the same thing to leave on a trip. So it's really important from an economic development perspective to have a first-class airport, and they've done a great job. And there's some work that needs to be done here coming up in the next couple of years with some modernization, both in avionics as well as the main runway. So more on that to be coming here shortly. And then finally, another been a very big successful project for us, the Madison Port Authority transload station, as you supported and helped with a couple of years ago. That facility, the 22-acre facility on our Madison Hilltop in our industrial park, is just taking off like no tomorrow. We have a couple more economic development announcements to make here in the coming weeks on one expansion because of the transload facility, and another company locating here in Madison because of that. We are also working with IKEC to now take their fly ash out by rail car, something we could not have done until just recently, and so that's creating a huge opportunity for IKEC and their parent companies, as well as for the Madison Railroad. And so the investments you've made and we made as a community at our transload facility are starting to be leveraged and pay off. There is more expansion needed there, and we think the business warrants it, and so we're working on a strategy to do that in the coming weeks, months.
Tony, will that require them to take dump trucks of that to the transload station? Is that?
Yes, so you mean on the fly ash?
The fly ash?
Yes,
yes, what they do.
Yeah, so they're trucking the fly ash to the transload. It gets pumped off of the trucks into cars and then shipped out.
Because I'm not sure how much they're doing now. I mean, I used to, but
I don't know the
More
real
now
number.
because
It's
they're
more.
identifying that byproduct is actually valuable.
It is
rather than-
valuable.
Yes,
rather
it's
than
very
landfilling it. They've
and it's been valuable for a while. It's just being able to get buyers of it.
Yeah, we're shipping to both Florida and Massachusetts, I believe, on the fly ash.
Brian, the plant manager, told me just last week when I saw him, I think about half of what their fly ash is right now is being processed through transload.
So
it's quite a bit.
I'm just thinking about now that traffic trail going up, to the transload. I don't know if you're thinking about what that might create or any safety.
You mean
possible issues.
the rail to downtown?
The dump trucks.
That's not part of this.
No.
Yeah.
The trucks going up on the hilltop with it, right? The industrial drive, obviously creating, traffic.
Have you noticed it? I was gonna say, cause we've
Oh,
been doing it.
absolutely. I mean,
Well, we've been doing it for over a year,
yeah.
so.
You mean the fly ash going from
Yeah.
Nike?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you're seeing a change on the hilltop because
A
of
little
it?
bit. I mean, and especially that near Grody and so forth, yes, we definitely noticed more traffic
You know,
in that
it's
area.
utilizing industrial property that the city owned to help, a city-owned business.
Absolutely.
And it's actually working really well.
Yeah, I think Adam.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, you know,
What the unintended consequences are and how we're gonna have to deal with
Sure.
that, and there's always those. So we'll need to study those, so let us know what
Yeah.
you're seeing and
Okay.
what you're hearing out there about that, so we can. I have not heard any specifics about that yet, but certainly open to hearing more about that.
Okay.
So I think Adam presented, a couple of meetings back, the success we had last year, and, again, the success so far in the first 2 months or first quarter of this year has continued for the railroad. And again, it's one of those things that we're very fortunate to past councils, past boards, who, continue to have that railroad be in service.
Right.
Today, rail is becoming more and more important. We know we have other industry in town that are considering how to use it as a number of transportation options become more expensive and less viable. So we're excited about that.
good thing.
I want to also put in the final project here is the Historic District Flood Mitigation. As we all know, Crooked Creek runs through downtown, is a major tributary to the Ohio River, but it is also one of the largest floodways in our community. It carries a lot of water, and the city has invested with the Corps of Engineers to do a study, and now we're currently refining that to start to understand the implementation of a plan that will help probably not eliminate, but greatly reduce the chances of flooding in the downtown and the near downtown. And so we see that is really important for part of our community that has slum and blight areas because of the flooding and the fact that those folks can't get regular insurance and those sorts of things. So this is a really important piece for us, not from a quality of life perspective, but also from an economic development perspective. So we've submitted this too as a part of our Destination Madison 2.0 plan to the RDA. So we said, why should the RDA invest in Madison? And next slide, please. We have a proven track record. We were the first community to start our projects in our region, and all but one project is virtually complete. We'll have our projects all complete here by 4th of July, except for the Madison Hanover Connector Trail. Ready 1.0 investment, the ratio far exceeded what we told them that would. Our destination plan is continuing to be planned. Our planning staff, our city staff has continued to improve and refine our Destination Madison plan, and so we're ready to go. We basically said, help us finish the work that we started together. And then our Ready 2.0 projects are in design. Some of those are further along than others, but we will be ready to bid some of our projects this fall and this winter for a continuation of construction in and around our community in 2025. And again, without the infusion of capital that the RDA provided us through the Ready money, we would not have been able to do as much as you're seeing us do without.
Yeah, and as we wrap up this presentation, which was fantastic, I think, where we are, we showed you a lot of projects, right? And the stage we're in now, we've been working on all of this Ready 2.0 for over a year. So the stage we're finally at is now that our region was successful in getting one of the state's largest awards again, they'll have another call for projects. We'd already responded to one call for projects. Now they'll have another one. And there was already over $400 million of funding requests for the $45 million. So that right there will tell you how competitive this is going to be, and honestly how difficult a job our commissioners of the RDA are going to have in looking at all of the plans across the communities in the 5 counties, because we sat in on quite a few of the presentations, and there's some fantastic plans all in Jefferson County as well as the other counties. And so where we are now is we'll go through a refinement process. We'll reduce this list to high priorities. We'll combine it in with the Hanover will have some plans, Jefferson County, the Jefferson County Historical Society. That'll be meshed in with the other 4 counties, and then we'll go through a selection process with the RDA and know something probably midsummer. but it's gonna be extremely competitive, which is why we need to continue to make those investments that serve our community well and hit those three pillars. That's housing. These are the things they say you have to be able to demonstrate success in housing, placemaking, and economic development, grow your population, grow your jobs, and improve the quality of life in all your communities. So the bar is really, really high. We've been exceeding it, and we're very excited about another round of opportunity here. And regardless of where we land, we've never stopped the planning or implementation of our workforce and destination plans.
But certainly, without any additional ready dollars, we will have to slow the pace of the projects, or look to other alternatives for funding and those sorts of things. So keep our fingers crossed that we get a nice percentage of the money that our region has for the great projects we have. But we also have some great projects in the county too, so we'll be we're all competing. We're all competing, so. Any questions? I'm happy to answer any questions.
Presentation time.
Tony, if you could send that presentation out, that'd be great.
Okay.
And then questions, so the Madison Hanover Connector Trail,
You need water.
where does that go up at?
The Madison Hanover Connector Trail. The route is along 56, so it'll come out just past the bridge on the west end of town, and then it'll go up the hill. It'll go along the hillside to the main entrance at Clifty Falls State Park, and then we're working with DNR and Clifty to talk about connecting into the park from that location, and then Hanover College through their Lilly Endowment Planning Grant money went ahead and did phase 2 planning of the Madison Hanover Connector Trail from Clifty Falls to their campus, and that alignment study's complete, and that is a part of their ask for ready dollars, which is the Connector Trail 2.0 from downtown or from Clifty Falls to their campus.
Where would that connect at? I'm trying to
So that
vision that in my mind where they would actually connect. Where
that-
Hanover College would kind of connect.
Yeah,
into
so
Clifty.
Hanover College, there's a number of routes that have been studied.
Yeah.
No official route has been firmed up. There's one probably more feasible route than others. It would connect at Clifty Falls State Park and either migrate through some property there through some IKEC property
That's
or
what I
some
was
other right of way up the hillside,
Yeah.
and then ultimately get to their campus, either connecting through. They would love for it to connect through the veterinary medicine campus, the new veterinary medicine campus, which was already 1.0 project, and then through their campus into downtown Hanover, which they are making a huge. They've presented two. If you have not seen that, you should look into it. Hanover College has presented to the Lilly Endowment for several millions of dollars to make improvements to not just their campus, but more importantly, investments in Hanover itself and Madison and Jefferson County. And again, the housing study that I was referencing was funded by the Lilly Endowment and Hanover College. So we were thankful for that. It's dollars that we didn't have to spend.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then, Tony, one more thing. I saw you posted some stuff on Facebook for the DG Market.
Yes.
Can you give us some highlights of what's the status down there?
Yeah, today they were throwing old satellite dishes off the rooftop as they were continuing doing demolition. We are in the demo phase currently for them. The plans have gone to state for state plan review. Environmental remediation's complete, and we hope to start construction here in the next 30 days with the developer hopes to do that in full force, and has about a 60-day time frame for construction. Again, it's really a big white box that gets done. New roof, new windows, paint the exterior. They're keeping the tin ceiling inside, new flooring, new lighting, new mechanicals, and then they'll turn it over to Dollar General for shelving and refrigeration and those sorts of things. Again, our fingers are crossed, by 4th of July. But we'll see. But things are moving along fine. Our project and our commitment will be done on time, which was mid to late May. So they are about a month, 6 weeks behind. There was some remediation issues and a couple things with Dollar General in terms of the elevator that we had to work through. So it did take a few weeks to get that done, but things are on target, and Dollar General is coming, work is happening, there has been a lot of work inside. They moved outside today, and they were finding, there was a lot of old satellite dishes on there, all sorts of sizes that were coming off the roof, so. But we're excited about it, and we have a great developer in Kurt Rafferty and his family. They're investing in public art in that neighborhood, personally, with the Madison Area Arts Alliance, and we're excited about, Kim just issued call for art. The Madison Area Arts Alliance just issued call for artists and for art for the murals and a three-dimensional sculpture that'll go into that development.
Good presentation, thank you. Rob, welcome back.
Okay,
Thank you for being here, and we'll move into our bills on, something at the podium there, Eagle? Sorry, go ahead. Touch your button there, Mike, or Rick, if you don't mind, touch that button and light up.
Rick Roos, 1876 Michigan Road. I congratulate Councilman Schaefer for weathering 5 weeks that I've been there. But I do have a question as far as the Ready project. I wasn't going to chirp, but I will. But Seymour, Warsaw, and Michigan City got in bed with Brookings Institute as far as how they expend their ready dollars. I don't want that to happen down here. Brookings Institute, for those who don't know, is a very liberal organization, and they bring nothing but DEI to every project they see. I don't like DEI. Ostensibly, we're all Republicans. You shouldn't like it either. And I hope we never get in bed with Brookings Institute or any other expert group that'll help us define what we need to do with our money. So.
Thank you, Rick. We're very far along in these projects, and have been very successful collecting our own data.
I know, but I'm just...
Okay, thank you.
Now my turn?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have ordinance number 2024-4,
Package.
ordinance authorizing the issuance of a revenue note to finance solid waste facilities and all matters related thereto. That's the caption reading. If you wish, I'll read the whole ordinance, or we can suspend. Okay, no request for that? Okay. I'm glad not to read the whole ordinance.
While Mindy pulls that up, I'll give an overview of what this is. As you know, over the course of the past year, as we are kind of winding down on our major water improvement project, we were winding up to address issues in solid waste. Over the course of the past year, we've been carrying that operation, that and prior years. Mid-year last year, we started a two-phase initiative to address our solid waste issues. One was our lack of rate structure in order to support investment in solid waste. So we two phases of rate increases occurred, one effective last summer and the other one became effective on April the 1st, which was the household collection side. As presented during the discussion on the household collection charges, there was a modernization plan in there relative to the investment we need to make in our solid waste facilities, equipment, particularly for health and safety of our workers, our plant, and then how we collect household trash. That was outlined in the discussion for the rates, and now what we have here is the debt authorization, which would enable the city to borrow $1,675,000 from a local financial institution to finance the investment. This ordinance does a couple of things, but mostly what it does is it sets forth the maximum amount that we can borrow at the maximum rate and the maximum terms. But what it really sets forth, and I think is most important for the community, is this is a revenue note, so the repayment of this loan to the financial institution is only coming from the revenues of our solid waste utility. That's exactly how our water and sewer utilities operate. If you recall, a couple years ago, we dealt with our water improvement project, did a financing there as well. And then in addition to pledging the net revenue, so there's no taxpayer money involved in this. There are also covenants in here that essentially set forth that our responsibility is to operate it efficiently, and then operate it in a manner in which we can support the debt obligation. And we can certainly comfortably do that. And then what I'll mention too, beyond the note, is what the capital plan is. What I did was expand what we discussed in earlier in the first quarter for the household rate evaluation. And then, Minnie, if you'll go to the TSO modernization plan, I'll give an overview there, and we can open it up to questions. You can zip that up. Yes, absolutely, yes. Yeah, you can, thank you for enlarging that. Anyway, as presented during the approval for the rate increase, the total borrowing will be $1,675,000, and it's spread out across equipment, building improvements, repayment of the loan from utilities, technology implementation, working capital and contingency. And what you have here, and I'll go through it, is $225,000 for a new compactor truck, $135,000 for a compactor bed to retrofit on an existing truck the city owns, as well as retrofitting a tipper on a third truck. Implementation of the household containers across the community at the expense of the city and not the utility user. Building improvements totaling $500,000, and that will be subject to the final scope and bidding and sufficiency of funds. Repairs to ground, such as broken concrete in front and rear pads, new drainage system, new asphalt, repairs of the building foundation and steel structure, new concrete wall support steel roofing structure, or the recycling compactor, replace the fencing, new asphalt on access road, scale approaches, separate access to the cemetery if we have enough funding, and cleaning up around the area. This facility has not had any investment in it in probably about 30 years, long overdue. So we're at the stage now where we're at the second reading for approving the financing. Once the financing authorization is done here, then we'll be able to close on the loan, as well as order the equipment and finalize the scope of work and bidding for the plant improvements.
Mayor, do you have timing on when some of this would happen, assuming everything goes as planned?
So
when
think
we
it-
get the new truck, the retrofit, the trash cans get delivered, all that?
We haven't ordered anything yet,
Sure.
pending authorization on the debt financing. It's going to take approximately 4 months for us to get our equipment in, get our containers in, implement the container distribution process. So that's about 4 months.
Right.
And then it'll take us, my guess is, toward the end of fall to complete the plant improvements. The goal here is to have all of this modernization done by the end of this year.
And I would think you'd have to have the trucks in place before you could get the containers out there, because the trucks are gonna pick the containers up, right? So that's
all
part of
that,
it.
all that's together.
Gotcha.
Yes, thank you.
What do you envision for the distribution of the new containers? How are residents gonna sign up for what size they want and get?
Believe it or not, implementing something like this with over 5,000 customers is a big undertaking. And so we have spent an enormous amount of time on container, what type of container, the sizes containers, how we get them here, store them here, distribute them, what do we do with the old containers, what do we do with replacement containers. I mean, there's a whole bunch of discussion happening with staff on the, first of all, the speccing out and buying the equipment, but definitely on the containers. But to answer your question, the two companies that we're talking with on the containers have they offer management for that. They'll be serial numbered, they'll have the city's logo on them, but they'll also help us distribute them. So we're working through that process. There's gonna be an expense to that, but with this many containers, we're gonna need all the help we can to do it citywide. But that is a service being offered by the container companies.
So I mean, I imagine the first hurdle is gonna be getting people to actually tell you what size they want.
Well, we're working on that communication as well, which is how do we reach out? How do they communicate to us? We're asking the community to evaluate their household needs, pick a container that fits the size of their household. And as you know, we've been working with 4 different choices, the smallest from 32 to the largest for 96. We believe that the sweet spot really is that 48-gallon container, candidly, but some will need more. Some already have 96-gallon containers. Some already have 2 or 3 containers that they put out. So what we're doing with regard to standardizing, in my opinion, isn't a real stretch. It's going to be different, but it's also going to help us consolidate everything into one container that's not going to have to be manually lifted. And using the tipper, we'll be able to more efficiently and safely collect the household trash across the community. As I mentioned during the presentation on the rates, right now our staff, it's a small staff. In 2023, they handled over 7 million pounds of solid waste from our household collection. That is an enormous amount of literally heavy lifting. And so there's a lot of nuances to the container management side of things, and that's another reason why it's going to take 4 months, for example, because there's still a lot of thought has to be placed into what size container they want. Does the container they have already have the compatibility functionality that we're looking for? And many do. So not everybody's going to have to get a new container. So we'll be working on that part of it. That's one of that, and then the technology implementation, which is kind of the brains behind the operation. Those are the 2 more difficult elements to implementing this.
I thought at one point we were considering replacing the scales themselves up there. No.
The scales are in pretty good shape. There's been a little bit of modifications to them over the years, but the reports that we have are the scales are in good shape. What we'll be doing is attaching technology to our scales so that we can implement point of sale and automated ticketing function with our current scales. And that will save us, not replacing the scales will save us a tremendous amount of money. Happy to answer any other questions. Okay. Any questions from the audience? Now would be a time. Maybe come to the podium if you do have a question on this element of tonight. Okay. Hearing none. Move to 3rd reading. Rob, thank you.
Ordinance number 20.
No, we're just going to move it to 3rd reading. Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to suspend the rules and move to 3rd reading. Okay.
Council, you're welcome to do that if you'd like, which would allow us to go ahead and implement quicker. Me too. It would allow us to go ahead and implement our plan, but moving on to board appointments. Council, I submitted to you 2 nominations for approval. One for the City of Madison Port Authority, Louis Scott-Sponer, to a 4-year term, 2024 to 2027. And then William Jewell, who is here tonight. Thank him for his presence. To the Historic District Board of Review, he will be completing the term for Michael Zink, which will end in 2025, at the end of 2025. Need a motion to approve the 2 recommendations, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the board appointments.
I'll second
Here
that.
tonight too. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Thank you. All right, moving on to public comments. If there anybody is here who would like to address the mayor's office or your council representatives, please come to the podium. Name and address, please, and what your comment is.
It's me, Debbie Beeman, 709 Walnut Street. Y'all, I'm sorry, I know the meeting's been going long, but I need to really talk to city council. I sat here and listened to so much money being invested in so many things. And I want to ask you all to consider investing in Walnut Street. I know when everybody hears Walnut Street, it's like, and that's what I want to change about it. I've been trying so hard, and it's money. You talk about investment. Walnut Street needs some investment, y'all. Clean, safe, beautiful. That's not where I live. And I'm trying to change that. There's no reason why Walnut Street has to keep the bad name that it has and has to keep being, I'll say it, ignored. I feel like we're just totally ignored over there. And you all know that I've been trying and trying and trying. If you guys would just please get together and figure out how we can get some investment into Walnut Street, I would surely appreciate it. Because there's no reason why it has to have that reputation and keep being the way it is. But money, everything's investment, everything's money. I really hope you guys will take in what I'm saying and take it seriously and get together and try to figure out how we help Walnut. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you for your concerns. We talk about Walnut Street all the time. You live there. Acknowledge your concerns. Tremendous amount of effort is being placed on Walnut Street. I'd love to go for a walk with you or a golf cart ride, and we can talk more about it. Thank you for your response.
Yeah, Debbie, I'll comment on it. I mean, since it's you're reaching out directly, and obviously we've discussed this too. I think the big thing with a lot of like the community issues and concerns too is you've done a really good job of helping provide that oversight, create the attention to the community. I would love to see if there's opportunities to explore coalescing neighbors, bringing those neighborhoods together, and kind of bringing in this larger objective picture on this area so we can gain that critical mass and get that gravity. I think that's going to help enable us to make decisions. Because I feel for you, and I understand that some of the plight down there too, having property down there, and the story with relatives, I feel for you. On the other hand too, I think there are strategic initiatives going on, so it's really hard to balance, how long do I wait? What's the limiting principle? 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? And what kind of progress am I willing to accept in that interim period? So I think there's a lot of subjective opinion on that, but it'd be really nice to see how we can make those ends meet and really make pathways. I think we are, but I think maybe there's creative ways to move that along, So I look forward to, trying to hash that out with you, but I think if we can get more people on board with that to kind of kick around ideas, that'd be great.
Debbie, if I may, we have the PACE program, which helps property owners to do renovations on their properties. And every year, we take a portion of the monies for the PACE, and actually it's the lion's share, and attach that to what we call a target zone. And so for the last 2 years, the Walnut Street has been in the middle of the target zone. So we've been making an effort through the PACE program to commit finances to property owners so that they can update and renovate their properties. And frankly, we've had quite a few projects in that area, up and down Walnut Street. Now, it's slow going. It's one property at a time, so it's not a mass change, but it is significant.
I'd like to echo Joel's comments as well, and also say that as the city works forward with flood mitigation on that end of town, the more we get invested into that, the more we work with the Corps of Engineers, and the more we're able to do about mitigating future floods, I think that will see more future investment and cleanup on Walnut Street, especially north of Fifth Street where it dips into the floodplain down there, because a lot of investors are going to be very reluctant to invest substantial amounts of money with the fear that it could all be flooded
Yeah,
out.
but they're also going to not want to invest if you have drug addicts and homeless everywhere around. And it seems like if we invest and make it better, make the housing better, and nicer to look at, sidewalks fixed, it seems like that would eventually have people want to move into Walnut. There's a house right now on Walnut for sale, couple blocks down from me. It's up for $229,000. And it's not in the best area either. But just think about that. If you have people that could come in and buy houses at that price, things would change on Walnut. But like everything else, I hear investment. We're going to have to do something to invest in Walnut to make it better where people might want to come in and move.
And Deb, I think that's kind of where the catch-22 is, and that's where the creative problem solving lies, because you need investment to make Walnut better, but there's no investment until Walnut kind of organically gets better. And I think that if you can coalesce that neighborhood and get shareholders, i.e. those, community members, to kind of bring out those ideas, and there's creative ways to do, street cleaning programs, donate, landscaping, or, get people interested in helping that, certain small businesses that may be willing to, bring out, the best in that street in little bits, but in lieu of an ultimate solution, you have to start somewhere. And I can testify that there is, starting somewhere. It is a bit of a mess, but people are picking spots to start. But I understand that the problem's complex. I just think that the more buy-in you can get, and even the little things will create a lot of headway. I mean, just minor improvements and small community improvements, people are going to keep up with the Joneses. People will be interested. A lot of times I see homeowners reluctant to enhance their property, aesthetically, because, why would I want to clean up my property if that one across the street is terrible? But then they see that it starts to get cleaned up even a little bit, say, hey, I would like to do that too. You start seeing, these contributions, and then they really become exponential.
Unfortunately for me, I'm next door to people that are not in any hurry to do anything with pace. So that's another aggravation.
I would say that there's 3 properties adjacent to you that's undergoing a major restoration now.
And it's taking forever.
And we've spent $1 million on flood mitigation towards Walnut Street already. And we haven't even begun to invest in the infrastructure yet. Millions of dollars of new housing restoration on Walnut Street. The problem is they were saying, as you go further north, you're into an area that had been long disinvested in, lots of blight. Right. And Joel hit it right on, which is once that neighborhood really starts caring for itself, all that money is going to start flowing in, but we need the property owners to maintain. There should be no reason why a concentration of unsafe, dilapidated properties continue to exist for decades down there. Or why we are removing dozens of abandoned cars, why we had to hire a full-time code enforcement officer because of the issues there. You're exactly right. Why we've been in court for over a year on a dilapidated trailer park. All of those things take significant time, money, and investment, and they don't happen quickly enough for you, and certainly not for us either, but it is progress. Nobody has forgotten about Walnut Street. They could tell you that.
See, I feel like it's totally forgotten. And that's why I wanted to talk to the city council. Well, I do.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
And I have reason to feel that way.
Okay.
Thanks again,
Thank you.
y'all.
Anybody else here like to address council or the mayor's office? Sandra, are you coming up?
I have a nit. Sandy Palmer, 105 East 3rd Street. After all of this, it's like, this is a little tiny thing, and I do appreciate the magnitude of what you all deal with. And I'm not just saying that to blow, you know, it's like, it's a lot. But I have one question. I have a question that I brought up before about the name of the park, but I'm sure that you're working on that. But I wonder, when somebody owns a piece of property, and this past weekend we had a musical event on a piece of property in the neighborhood that is owned, and I'm sure it was okay with food trucks and beer and all of that. Do you have to get a permit for that? How does that happen? This was at West, well, no, or whomever. Maybe this is not the right forum, but it's at West Street and 4th. And it was a great, well-attended event, as far as I can tell. People really enjoyed it. I just wonder, the first I read about it was in the paper, and how do you go about doing that, even though if it's all, I mean, can I have a big event on my side yard? I don't know how you do that. And can we just do it at any place that we own in town?
Well, there are rules, and construct relative to things on public and private property. That's private property. It's in the central business district. Yes, there are permits. Each of the food trucks that were there needed to have a permit and inspections by both fire and health departments. They're subject to orderly, conduct while they're there. There were no issues that were reported. Appears to have been a very successful event that filled a unique entertainment aspect for people who want to come downtown. And I think that for the pilot, I thank Todd Boone for working collaboratively with those in music, those in the food truck business, and himself, as well as others and volunteers, and bringing that together. So yeah, there were permits, but where that's at, what you're really asking is, does zoning allow them to do that? And the answer is yes.
And how did you know that? I mean, the zoning would be in the zoning minutes, or?
It's been the zoning, there's a zoning ordinance, and it describes what properties all across the city are zoned, and then there's hundreds of different permitted uses for various different zoning classifications. So they didn't have to come and get an approval to do that, because that approval was embedded in the zoning for that particular parcel where it's located. Now, if they were disturbing the peace, if people were disturbed by that, they should report that during and now. If there was complaints, I think that Todd and others would be very interested in understanding what people liked about it, what they didn't like about it. So even if you know Todd, he's very welcoming relative to suggestions on improvements. And my personal opinion on it is, I was happy to see the food trucks off of Main Street and collectively together, because normally what happens is, and you've seen this, they're all spread up and down Main Street, and it creates a very different environment for us. So I personally appreciate Todd doing that. He's learning a lot of things from it. We know that the food truck experience is something that's here to stay. Earlier tonight, I appointed 3 members of council to a new projects standing committee. One of the outdated policies that we need to invest time in understanding better and how to regulate is our transient merchants, our food trucks, our traveling salespeople, for example. All that activity that's happening and that is being right now regulated from an ordinance that's 20 or 30 years old. So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but I tried to. It was all private, but I did enjoy it. Yeah. Anybody else here like to come to the podium and address council of the mayor's office? Appreciate everybody being here, and I also want to just again thank Lucy and all of our tourism partners for Madison, Indiana, being voted the most beautiful town in the Midwest. And in Lucy,
We were number 1.
we're number 1.
We already knew that.
We already knew that.
But now,
People are going to discover what we already know.
That's right.
And on May the 6th, we'll learn whether or not we are winning the Great American Main Street Award, which is a national competition that we've been involved in for over a year. So keep up the good job, Madison. Our next meeting is May the 8th. not Tuesday, May the 7th, because cities close that day, that's election day, May the 8th.
I
Have a
move that,
motion to adjourn?
I
Unless
move
there's
that we,
other comment. Okay, sorry.
that's okay. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second the motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.